and I'm so excited to be here today with Dr. Mary E. Weems. Hi, Mary.
Hi, nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. Mary is an accomplished author, poet, playwright, and social cultural foundation scholar. Her work is inspired by the human condition and by what is happening to Black people in America around issues of race, gender, and class. To date, Mary has authored or edited 13 books, and her plays and or excerpts have been published and produced for nearly 2 decades. And I have a long list of awards that she's won listed here. I'll just let you know some of the highlights. She won the Cleveland Arts Prize Emerging Artist Award for Literature this year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She won the African American Playwright Exchange Very Short Halloween Play Contest, which sounds very cool.
Yes.
Yes. And she was a finalist for the Ohioana Book Award for her publication An Unmistakable Shade of Red and the Obama Chronicles.
And also for foreclosure.
Oh, and for closure.
Later collection, yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, she's an accomplished lady, let's just say. So thank you so much for being here, Mary. It's really an honor to have you share your time with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you tell us more about what you do?
Well, actually, I do a number of things, and all of them start with the heart of my work. First and foremost, I'm a poet. I'm a language artist who believes that words are a powerful tool to both speak out against injustice like racism, sexism, homophobia, religious intolerance, and also to heal from feeling of being someone who's been treated differently because of your race, gender, class, etc. Mm-hmm. So writing is both my method for conducting my research and for expressing the results of it. And I'm somebody whose work is kind of hard to put in a little box. Some people think that I am a arts-based researcher. That's true. But I also work in interpretive methods, and interpretive methods research is research that borrows from other traditions, in my case, literature, theater, in order to do research that will help people feel and think differently about whatever. And what I'm trying to say here is, typically when you write an article in the academy, mm-hmm. only a small number of people in your particular discipline will ever read that work.
Right.
Interpretive methods and arts-based scholars do the kind of research that can go from the living room to the library to your grandmother's house to the academy.
Right.
So that it can reach the audience of people where you're trying to make a difference. Right. And that's really at the heart of what I do. You mentioned earlier critical race theory. Mm-hmm. Well, some people might call me a critical race theorist too, because race is at the heart of my work a lot, but it's not the only lens I look through.
You told us a little bit about that, but tell us a little bit more about what generally drives your writing and your academic work. Like, what really moved you to go into the field that you're in and why you do it?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been writing for over 40 years, mm-hmm. and I continue to write kind of for the same reason as I started writing, mm-hmm. and that is because I'm fascinated by what happens to people between birth and death. And I try my best, as I am inspired to write about things that are happening, and not only to Black people, but to all kinds of people as things strike me. Mm-hmm. And I'm typically inspired not by the beautiful things in life. So I don't write much about flowers and mm-hmm. trees and, what a wonderful world this is.
Right.
But I do think that language, even when you're writing about painful things, has a kind of beauty that will draw people in. And so So my very first poem was called Death, and it was after seeing an African American young man go down the wrong side of the street and be in a fatal car accident.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, what kind of person is death to take someone so young? And if you look at my body of work, you'll note that I honor people who have passed away, both familial and people I've never met, a lot. Because there's something about life that I think is so precious that everyone's passing needs to be acknowledged or remembered in some way.
Yeah.
So I would say, in addition to social issues, major political kinds of social issues, the passing of someone's life is something else I write about a lot. And in terms of why I was inspired to get into the kind of work that I do now, in terms of as scholarship, I was first inspired to go back to school for my PhD.
Mhm.
I wanted to make a difference in the lives of kids attending public schools, and
Mhm.
especially kids of color.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because I went to public schools and I hated school. Not that I didn't do decent, because my mother, she really took education seriously, especially up to the high school level. She didn't play with not having good grades.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy most of my classes, because very little of school was about me. And the way I talk and wrote when I started school was not honored by my classroom teachers, who often told me to talk proper English, don't write like that. So it started to turn me off from school at a really early age. And I wanted to make a difference in the lives of kids. I wanted to inspire kids with the power of language and to help them understand that you can make a difference with the arts, beginning with the power of language.
That's beautiful, and I really relate to that as a former educator. That's what my degree is in, although I'm in a different field now. And part of what brought me into that field was growing up in public schools, which were fine for most children, but as a child with pretty severe learning disabilities, it really wasn't good. And it did inspire me too to go into the education field, because we can make a difference, and I'm sure you have in many people's lives, and hopefully I did too. So I really acknowledge that drive and understand it.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So I have been fortunate enough to have recently received a copy of Black Eyed by Mary from her publisher, Sense Publishers. And it's edited by my dear friend Patricia Levy, which is really neat.
Shout out to Pat!
Shout out. And I'm really excited to read it. And so I wondered if you would tell us a little bit about it. It's plays and monologues, and also too, what moved you to create it, or how it came about.
Okay, well, first I need to thank Pat Levy
Yeah.
for inviting me to put the collection together, but
Mm-hmm.
also Michael Oatman, who's an African American playwright, friend of mine. He's currently the playwright in residence of the Caramel House, and actually has been for some time.
Oh.
And Michael started saying to me maybe 7 or 8 years ago that, Mary, you should put together a collection of your work. At the time, he was referring to monologues, which I've written just
Ah.
4 monologues that I can count. And his reason for it is that so many African American male and female actors out there look for monologues to audition with,
Yes.
monologues to do in their work, but there isn't a whole lot out there.
Yes.
So I kept telling Mike, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. But it wasn't until Pat got in touch with me and said, Mary, I want to publish a collection of your work.
Mm-hmm.
She was inspired to do that by reading Meat way back when I first wrote it. And she said back then, you know how people say, I'll get in touch with you when you say, oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
She really meant it.
Yeah.
She contacted me and said, Mary, I'm wondering if you would do a collection of plays and monologues for us. And I, of course, was excited. Then the question became, okay, what will I include?
Right.
Well, the first thing I knew was that it would be called Black Eyed. And this is because back in 1994, a man by the name of Bob Drake, who we all call Luigi, had a small independent but respected independent press called Burning Press. And he published my first short collection or chapbook collection of plays, and it was called Black Eyes. So I wanted to honor Luigi.
Yes.
I also wanted to bring my work full circle, and I also wanted to make clear in the title, which both refers to black-eyed peas, one of my favorite foods.
Mm-hmm.
Black eyed is seen through my lens.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the title first.
Yes.
Then what I did is I started looking through all of the plays and monologues I've written over the last 15 years, and I tried to figure out which ones would hold together in a collection.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I put plays together. One of them actually is I got permission to reprint from my book, Public Education and the Imagination Intellect, because it's part of my dissertation. So, and that's a one-woman show called Dirt. They gave me permission for that. But all of the other work in the collection, with the exception of maybe a monologue or two and a play titled Numbers, is new work.
Great.
So once I decided on the selection of plays, I put a draft of the book together. I sent it to Pat, and Pat came back and said, Mary, I like the work in it, but I'd like you to restructure it so that the chapters are a mix of play and monologue. And I really like that idea, so I went back, I thought it through, I restructured the book, and I sent it to her. I also asked several people if they would write responses to the work, and so Bryant Alexander, who's the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Loyola, and Johnny Saldana, Professor Emeritus of Arizona State. He's the one who coined the ethnodrama that in his book, and also Monica Prendergast, who did the seminal work, along with others, Poetic Inquiry. And then last, Jonathan Wyatt, who's a colleague of mine, who is at the University of Edinburgh now, wrote blurbs for the book.
Great. I saw those in there. I was just flipping through before I called you, and I'm excited to read it, and I think it's going to be. I think this is an enlightening book, so I'm going to show it again, and I don't know. I'm excited to get to delve more into what you do. So,
okay, all right,
yeah.
yes. And I guess the other thing that I want to say about this collection and my work is that I'm always careful to make sure that I write about Black people in our complexity. So, for example, in the play Meat, I'm writing about this man who killed 11 Black women, but there are also positive representations of Black men in the book, in the play.
Good.
So, for example, there's a police officer who goes to a house for a domestic violence complaint and winds up giving his life because when the man who was doing the domestic violence came to the door with a shotgun and killed him, and that's based on a true story. There's a positive father in the work, and because I don't want to ever write Black people as I see them too often portrayed in the media as stereotypical and one-dimensional, because that's not how we are.
Agreed. It's interesting because I'm getting into writing for television and movies, and that's I'm working on it. And that's one of the big things that does come up is there's not a lot of really multi-dimensional complex characters for diverse races, women as well, you know, and you know, transgender, gay, lesbian, bi. I mean, everything. There's just not those complex, deep roles that really show all the different aspects. And as I've been studying, lots of scripts for many years to get into this, and it's been an interesting journey, and just one where I think, and I'd like to ask you too, I mean, I think just bringing awareness to that is a great step, and people trying, like you and, hopefully me, if I can get some things on air, trying to bring different multidimensional characters of every color, sexual orientation, gender, size and shape as well, everything. So on that note, how do you think that we can bring more awareness and consciousness to race issues and race relations, as someone who has studied that pretty intensively, although not exclusively?
I think I'd like to see more people get involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's risk-taking work.
Yeah.
The people in positions of power aren't necessarily interested in hearing about
Mm-hmm.
racism, domestic violence, transgender issues, religious intolerance. It doesn't sell well.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first things we need more people doing this kind of work. And then number two, we need more venues for getting this kind of work out here.
Yes.
I mean, it's disturbing to me, and not to knock the people who are on Empire,
Right.
not to knock Tyler Perry, because like Richard Pryor said a long time ago, I'm happy when somebody black in this country is able to accomplish anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, when I look at this work with a critical eye, what I see a lot is a reinforcement of old stereotypes
Yeah.
that were started decades ago by people like Oscar Micheaux. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Oscar Micheaux, Micheaux,
Mm-hmm.
black man who started his own film company in like the 1930s.
Oh, wow.
And he created films that basically played on the same kinds of stereotypes that Tyler Perry is currently becoming wealthy on,
Mm-hmm.
and the same types of stereotypes being played out in the show Empire. And not just Empire, that's just the one show that right now comes to mind.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think to a broader and perhaps lesser degree, we can say the same thing about roles for women. And we've seen a lot of growth in that area with shows that have women playing stronger and more diverse characters. And now it's really time for that to keep expanding.
I would agree. And
Mm-hmm.
but the problem with that is, again, it's the stereotypical roles that get the most play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Mirren, for example, is a favorite white actor.
Yeah.
She makes these amazing films.
Yeah.
But I would say they never get the kind of exposure and credit that the more stereotypical films get. And let's not forget ageism, which is also alive and well too.
I agree. And sizeism. I write a lot about, the last accepted prejudice is against overweight people. I think it's just, in pop culture, a certain common denominator based upon, flash and looks and cultural ideals and things does rise to the top. And
I would agree.
Yeah.
It takes me back to the patriarchal notion of what a white woman was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I would argue that those same notions are kind of playing out in the world today.
Yes.
Only more subtly and less realized, because a lot of people you will encounter don't even know what the heck I'm talking about when I say patriarchy. This is of the woman being white and pure and virginal and emotional and all of that nonsense.
Yeah, that's true. And I definitely think, that's why I have some episodes of my show where we talk about these things, because I think that's something I can do. That's what we can do, is bring awareness and like you're doing, put works of art in whatever form out that can expand thinking. And whether it's a play like yours, like a deep, hard-hitting play, or it's, me writing a romantic comedy with just multi-dimensional characters of every size, shape, gender, race, and sexual orientation. I mean,
I would agree. And what you're talking about when you speak of size makes me think about the next book that's going to come out in my series with Leigh.
Oh.
A book by Dr. Cheryl Luckett called Young, Gifted, and Fast.
Mm-hmm.
In this book, she talks about passing for thin or passing for slender. So that even though she's lost, at one point she lost 100 pounds, she still saw herself as psychologically as a large woman.
Yeah.
And so her book is I think, going to make a huge contribution to fat studies, which is
Yes.
an area of research nowadays. But more importantly, I think it will help more people who read the work and engage it understand that size is just another difference we need to learn to embrace. The thing about this country is we're so wrapped up in something that's possible, which is physical perfection.
I know.
And why are we wrapped up in that? Because there are people who, in order to get into our synthetic industry, and the weight loss industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Oh yeah.
Their main job is to keep us dissatisfied with some aspect of who we are.
I agree. Mm-hmm. It's all about.
Sorry, my phone is ringing.
You're in demand.
Okay, I'm listening.
That's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely all about driving us to think that we're not good enough, and so some product or service can help us be good enough. Whether it's physically, psychologically, we're not doing enough. I think that's a big thing women get. Having it all and, not doing enough, and being good parents and good employees and good this and good that. And it's a lot just designed to get us, I agree, to purchase. But if we can bring that to greater awareness, then that's a step in the right direction, for sure.
Absolutely. Have you ever heard of synesthesia?
Yes, I have.
Well, there's a piece in my book called Sadie Stories. And Sadie Stories is a play about a woman who's an empath.
Mm-hmm.
And when she encounters various women on her street, any physical touch, she takes in the story of that woman.
Yes.
For a period of time long enough to tell it.
Yes.
Well, one of the Sadies is about a woman who's a synesthete, and in her case, she tastes what she hears.
Neat.
And it really leads to some pretty interesting things, especially when she begins to date.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. That sounds like a fun one. Is that in Black Eyed or a different book?
Yes, it's in Black Eyed, yes.
I might read that one first.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you about it. Well, we've had an awesome talk. I wish we could talk more, but I usually try to keep us under 30 minutes. We're just gabbing away. So I really want to thank you, Mary, for taking time out to be on the show.
It's my pleasure, Amy. I look forward to receiving the clip. I will spread it to as many places as I can. Good luck to you, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you. We sure will. And thank you all for watching. I'm Amy Leigh Mercree. Remember to live joy, be kind, and love unconditionally, today and every day.